What's up? You're supposed to do
my
the intro.
My ear.
Okay, don't be ridiculous. So this is going to be a really fun video because this is about Big B and me, right? Right?
Yes.
You can
yes.
talk. It's okay for you to talk.
Okay.
I mean, you can be involved in this.
Okay, I was trying to give you your moment in the sun.
Well, I've been basking in my moment for, I don't know, 36 hours or so, I guess.
So what did you think about,
I'm going to tell everybody how this came about. Okay, so for starters, everybody who has been around on our channel for a long time knows that I love Big B. We do have some new people, however. First off, they don't even know our names. So you're Jeremy and I'm Tish. You're the professor. I'm the warrior queen. Some people don't realize that.
I am the professor.
And we're married.
We are.
And so for all you new people, all of you new friends that have just recently stumbled upon our channel, I love Big B. He's my favorite actor. When I first saw him in Piku, I loved the story. I loved the film. I thought, this guy is really kind of intriguing. I had no idea who he was. I knew who Irfan Khan was, but I didn't know who Big B was. And I just thought, I kind of like him. He's intriguing.
Now, what did you see of Irfan Khan before that?
We had seen him in Spider-Man, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Amazing Spider-Man. Where, of course, they gave him just a little bit role, just kind of like they did in Jurassic World. He's totally underutilized in American cinema, in my opinion. But this video is not about Irfan Khan. It's about Big B. So after we watched Piku, that was my very first Indian film. You started telling me about all of these other films that he was in, and you told me about Sholay. Mm-hmm. And you told me how you had a mishap when the channel was brand new.
Can I explain the mishap?
Yes,
I
you
need
can.
to put context to the mishap.
Yes, you can.
I just got done watching a bunch of Bala Krishna.
Now, this was 2 years ago or so when you first started the channel.
And I wasn't, is this real? Is this a joke? What is this? I have no idea.
Because Bala Krishna, some of his stuff is a little
it can
unrealistic.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
And when somebody said do Sholay, and I started looking at Sholay, I didn't understand the genre. Like,
we knew nothing about Indian films. We knew the term Bollywood, and that was about it.
Yes, and I made fun of a scene in Sholay, and I had no idea who Big B was, or you know, or
that Sholay was a classic.
Yes,
that still plays in the cinemas in India.
And I think many of our Indian friends unsubscribed and.
They were offended because you made a joke.
I was the ugly American completely.
It was an innocent joke. You had no idea what this film was about. You didn't know anything really about Indian films.
This will all be explained in a new Kenny Sebastian video that will be uploaded. But go ahead, back to Big B.
So anyhow, we watched Sholay. And then I got to see Big B as a young man, young angry man. And I thought, wow, he's a really good actor, because that film was like the Indian version of The Magnificent Seven, but it was actually good. I didn't like The Magnificent Seven, but I saw Sholay and I was like, wow, this is really good. So thus began my quest to see more Big B films. And so we've watched many more since then. And I think he is the best, not just the best Indian actor, the best actor, period.
I would say he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Pretty good doesn't describe it.
He could remember his lines. He knows his mark. I'm joking. He's, yes.
Okay, I remember when we watched Bootnot, and he was singing and dancing, and I was like, yes. I think he's really singing. Yes. I don't think he's lip syncing. And one of our friends said, yes, he does all of his own singing and dancing. Then I'm like, okay, this man is spectacular. He's a great actor. He's a great singer. He's a great dancer. He seems like such a very kind human being. And every film we have watched of his, whether the film was an A, because, you know, we grade our films, whether the film was an A or a B, he is always spectacular. The films that we have given a B, it wasn't because of his acting. His acting is spectacular. So I love Big B. And whenever there's a chance to watch a film that has Big B in it or someone else, I always lobby for, let's watch the Big B film. You know this is true, right? So we found out recently, of course, that he's going to be in a new film, 102 Not Out. And he's playing the father, a 102-year-old father, right? Right?
Yes.
And alongside of
Rishi
him,
Kapoor.
right? Okay, and they haven't been in a film together in like 27 years
Because Rishi Kapoor bribed an official to win his award.
This is what we heard. This is what we read online. So
no, true it is, but that's what I heard.
Right, that's what we read online. So in any case,
is it true?
There had been some sort of
His
a
website's
falling
Global
out.
Gossip.
There had been some sort of a falling out between the two. But Big B is a nice guy. He's just a really nice guy. And so they're in this film together, and it looked hilarious. The trailer was not in English, but we were laughing anyway because he's just so funny. And so then we found out, of course, that the premise is that he's playing the 102-year-old father to like a 75-year-old man.
Now, I have a fun fact for you.
Okay.
I'm actually his child.
Anyhow, back to reality here. And so he is like this fun-loving guy, and his 75-year-old son is like, please slow down. And he's like, I'm going to be like the only guy to put his son in an old age home. And so it was funny, okay? And so we did a review about it. And at the end of the review, the trailer review, I made a plea to Mr. Bachchan.
It was off that video, the 102?
Yes, I made a plea. And I asked him to please follow me on Twitter because I had already followed him on Twitter. Well, some of our Indian friends decided that they would tweet that video to him. And on my behalf, they asked him to please follow me on Twitter. Now, that was, I don't know, a week and a half ago,
Not
maybe.
long.
It wasn't that long ago. And I really didn't think he would follow me back because he has 33 million followers. I am sure the amount of notifications he gets on Twitter are crazy. He's got to have the little notification alert turned off on his phone because it would just be going off constantly. So, but he only follows like around 1,700 people on Twitter. So I thought, my chances are nil. And our friend Sumya felt bad for me, and he said, ma'am, please make sure that you're following his official account because there are a lot of fake ones. And I said, oh, believe you me, I have followed the official one. And he felt bad, and he said, maybe I'll just make up a fake Big B Twitter account and I'll follow you.
Oh, Sumya, what a sweet,
because he felt
what
bad
a sweet
for me.
boy.
Very sweet. And so in any case, I've just been, waiting, but I didn't think it would happen. And so Sunday night, I was on Twitter. And I saw that several of our Indian friends had tweeted at Big B again, asking him to follow me. And I got into a conversation with several of them on Twitter. And we were talking about his films. And I mentioned, of course, that Piku was the first film, the very first Indian film I'd ever seen, not just Big B film. And I've only been watching Indian films for a little more than a year now. And so I started talking about the different films that I liked. And how he's such an incredible actor because he has a very good, well, I think I said great range. You can see the different parts that he plays. His range is great. And I said he really draws you into the films because of that. 30 minutes later, I'm on Twitter and I get a notification. And it says, Amitabh Bachchan
Did you think
followed
it was Sumya?
you. No. At first, my heart jumped. And then I thought, wait a second. I remember when I thought the Dallas Cowboys followed me on Twitter,
yes.
And I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I love them, and I thought it was the official Dallas Cowboys account, and when I clicked on it, it was a fan account. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, and so I was really sad because I've been a Dallas Cowboys fan since I was 7. And so when I saw Amitabh Bachchan followed you, I had the initial, oh my gosh, and then I thought, it's probably a fan account. And then I clicked on it. And it's at Senior Bachchan.
Now, were you like that little boy in Slumdog Millionaire when he
where I'm holding up the picture? I'm
but he jumps in the poop to get... dude.
I could not believe it. I looked.
Just to interrupt you, and you know how many Americans saw that and said, Who's that?
We just talked about that yesterday.
Who's that? Who's
so
that?
many Americans, so many Americans watching that film were probably like, "Who's Amitabh Bachchan?"
Yes.
And had we watched it when it first came out all those years ago, we would have been in that boat.
We had no idea. I would have no
But
idea.
now we know.
Now we know.
So I clicked on it and I see @Senior Bachchan followed you, and I thought, oh my gosh, because I know that's his real account because I follow him. Nonetheless, I scrolled through anyway because I thought, this has got to be fake. There's no way he actually followed me. But sure enough, it was really him. And then I thought, I want to scream. I am so excited I could scream, but you were sleeping.
So you went like this.
I was like, oh my gosh. I could not believe it. I was literally, I had my hands like this. I was like, oh my gosh, Big B followed me. But I couldn't scream because that would wake you up. And I had to wait 3 hours for you to wake up before I could tell you. And so what I did was, I wish that I still had it, but I've already thrown it away. I had a little piece of paper and I wrote in all caps, because I was going to leave a note for you for when you got up in the morning, Big B followed me on Twitter. And then, lo and behold, as sometimes happens, you woke up early. You peeked your head out, and instead of telling you, what do I normally tell you when you get up too early?
It's too early, go back to bed.
I say, Smoochy, it's too early, you have to go back to bed.
Smoochy. What are you doing?
But you poked your head out, and I ran over to you, and I said, Big Beef. No, I held up the paper to you, and I said, look. And then you read it, and you said, what? So I was able to share my joy with you earlier than I thought I would be able to.
We were sitting thinking about, like, what would be the American equivalent, because we have American viewers.
Right.
Like that may be going, what is this? Like,
there is no current American equivalent to Big B.
I think the equivalent to a personality, and I'm not saying as far as morality, I'm saying star power, where if you told an American, Donald Trump follows me on Twitter, that everybody would know. And that was, because we try to compare American actors, but there are
There's
no American
comparison.
actors that compare to Big B, because Big B is,
I
hate to say this word, but it is iconic. I mean, we throw that around,
iconic.
but he's iconic.
He is. I told my mom he's a living legend.
Your mom.
Because she's
I don't know who he is, but I'm glad he followed you.
He made you happy, so that's great. So he's a living legend. He has spanned literally decades, since before you and I were alive. And so America has had some actors in her past, like Jimmy Stewart,
but
or
at their height, were they him? I don't think so.
John Wayne. But you would have to put like John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, Bob Hope. You'd have to put all of these people together into one, and then have that person still be alive and active in their craft. There's nobody like that in America today.
No.
And so you're right. As far as recognizing the name, it would be similar to saying Donald Trump followed me on Twitter.
Right.
So I was over the moon, needless to say, and then I did not expect that you would do a video telling everybody about it. And so
I wanted to say thank you.
Everybody has been rejoicing with us, and we're just I still can't believe it. And still today, I went on Twitter just to make sure. Is he really?
Did he unfollow me?
He didn't. He's still
he
following me.
He hasn't unfollowed me.
He's
yet.
still following me. I'm so super excited about this. I cannot even tell you, India, how grateful I am that you helped me to do this, because I thought this was a shot in the dark. I thought there's no way this man is going to follow. He follows 1,700 people. There's no way he's going to follow some random American woman who just happens to like his films. I thought there's no way.
I think that, and you go and you read the comments to people, or people on that video where I did this morning before I went to work. I just got a sense that something's happening here, that this isn't, that there's real momentum, that there's real, somebody said in one of the comments, there's a community here. And there is a community here. And sometimes you'll see a hater come up and say, he's a faker.
There have been some trolls that we had to block recently.
I'm going to just, if I may, tell the story. So we're sitting at church, and a new Indian couple walks in.
Yes.
And nobody's really acknowledging them. They sit down and they're kind of in the middle of nowhere.
And they're not being acknowledged because church has just started, and so everybody's kind of, doing whatever they're doing, and so you don't notice when new people walk in.
So I go like this.
Yes.
And the husband looks like, what?
Like, I don't know these people, but they're calling us over.
So he comes over and he sits by us. And then our other Indian friends come in and they sit down. Yes. And then afterwards, we all we all sat down and had lunch together to talk and whatnot. Right. And our older Indian friend, like
our established Indian friends
was
that we've already
telling the
been
new
friends
guy.
with.
I don't want to say their name.
Yeah,
embarrassing,
right. They might not want their names on YouTube.
Yes. The established one turns to the new guy that we just met, and he says, "I got to warn you about him. He loves India. He knows what's going on in India. He knows the politics. He knows the movies. He knows it more than I do. Yes. And sometimes I'm embarrassed by that. That he talks to me about what's going on in my hometown, which is Wysag, and the new guy was just like, oh.
And the new guy has lived in America for 24 years. Yes. He's also from southern India.
Yes, he is.
His wife, Indian, but born and raised in Chicago.
Yes.
So we all had some different things in common, and the two Indian wives were talking about Indian films. Yes. And the new Indian wife asked me if I knew who Big B was, and I was like,
maybe.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Yes. So there's a sense of community going on, and it's really cool to see. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sound dopey or anything, but it's just
we're very humbled and touched by the graciousness and generosity and kindness that you have shown to us, to random American people. And somebody mentioned in the comments that this feels like family, and it does feel like family. It feels very much like family to us as well.
I know, like, when I don't see Sunny Pad comment in a while, like, well, I hope he's okay. I mean, we have these conversations. Have you heard from,
Yes, there are certain people.
Where's Sumya? I haven't seen Sumya. Oh,
we interact with.
And sometimes you've read a comment that I haven't yet.
Right.
He's on vacation or he's out for holiday or something.
One of our Indian friends who also follows me on Twitter, you too can follow me on Twitter if you have not yet. @TishBowling is my Twitter handle. But one of our friends who also follows me on Twitter told me the most amazing thing about Big B that I did not know. Apparently, when he was young, he wanted a job at, is it All India Radio? I think it's called.
Yes.
And he was rejected. They did not think his voice was appropriate, that it wasn't good enough. They said his voice was not good enough for radio. That astonishes me, because in America, we would say he's got a great radio voice. He has this deep baritone voice. That's
his
perfect.
Voice is recognizable.
Yes, it's perfect. I mean, we recognize his voice when we don't see his face. And so that was mind-blowing to me. And so I would like to know from our Indian friends, does that surprise you? I mean, isn't that kind of surprising that someone would say his voice wasn't good enough? So this friend of ours was also kind enough to include a little YouTube clip where somebody was interviewing Big B about that. And nice guy that he is, he wasn't upset about it. He wasn't bitter about it. He didn't make fun of them about it. He just said, well, there were some very good people that were on radio, and maybe they had other ideas where they wanted to go with commentary or news reading, and I just didn't fit that. And I thought, this is why he's so great.
It worked out.
Okay, clearly it worked out for him. It clearly worked out for him. Somebody said, "Kid's got talent," and so now he's had this amazing career. So yes, you all wanted to know what I thought about Big B following me. Now you know. I'm super excited. And I know that it could not have been possible without our Indian friends who helped us. I can't say thank you enough. I'm so excited. So thank you.